Today, I'm running the full size Smokeslinger in offset mode. We're cooking some fresh andouille sausage and some boneless, skinless chicken thighs. So tonight, I'm gonna make some étouffée. That's like one of my favorite things in the world. In that recipe, I'm using some homemade andouille that I made a while back that's just been sitting in the freezer. I gotta cook that stuff and get it on down the road. I've also got some boneless, skinless chicken thighs that I got it from my buddies down in St. Robert, Missouri at Carnivore's Meat Market. Make sure you go give them a visit. Now, today's video is specifically about how to set up the Smokeslinger in offset mode for this kind of cook. We're gonna utilize two-zone cooking, and that's a really important thing because we're going to be getting a certain texture and smoke and a control of what our sausage is gonna turn out to be like. On the chicken, man, there ain't nothing better than chicken thighs, on boneless, skinless chicken thighs on a Smokeslinger pit. You can do anything with that. So what we're gonna wind up with here is a look at how these zones perform on the Smokeslinger and minimal fire management to get the end result we're looking for. Okay, so one thing I like to do is get all my meat prepped up front before I actually get the pit lit. What that's gonna do is it's gonna give some time for all the seasonings to kind of work their magic. Like for instance, we're rubbing the chicken down. I've got some seasoning here from my buddy Jared Hooks Rub and Spices. I'm putting that on the chicken thighs, and it's gonna need some time for that rub to kind of do what it does. The salt gets down in there and works on that chicken a little bit. On the sausage, it's fresh sausage. On this one, I'm not gonna have to do any seasoning or anything, but the smoke early in this cook on this sausage matters. It's gonna have a lot to do with the sausage texture and everything like that. But the focus today is how to set up this Smokeslinger in offset mode so I can show you exactly how I'm gonna cook that sausage and the chicken and use those zones to my advantage. So let's go ahead and get this Smokeslinger set up. So when we're running offset mode on the full size Smokeslinger, I usually set the fire up on one side or the other. Which side you use doesn't really matter. In this case, I'm putting the charcoal and everything and the wood on the left-hand side. That's where I'm building my coal bed and everything. And then I've removed a layer of the tuning plates so that whenever all that fire and heat and airflow and all the good stuff comes up, it'll go straight up to the top of the cooker and it'll spin down off the lid as it goes across to the right-hand side of the smoker. That would be that side. So anyway, as it goes across there, that's where we're getting this offset mode effect. Now, the thing to remember about this is that closer to the coal bed is hotter, farther away from the coal bed is cooler or softer zones. Now, in the Smokeslinger, the way it operates, when that air is spinning downwards off of that lid, that makes the upper side on the exhaust side a little bit more of an intense zone because that's where it's spinning down at to go back down to the exhaust on the side of the pit. So what you do then is if you put your brisket or whatever you're cooking in offset mode on the lower rack, it's actually shielded from all that radiant heat. This is a really important feature in the Smokeslinger pit. So as you start to cook on your Smokeslinger, use that hot zone on the left on the bottom in this case, not my left here, but that side of the pit. Use that hot zone on the bottom of the pit as a place to sear. You can use that as a place whenever you're cooking something quick and easy, like maybe roasting some chili peppers or some jalapenos or something for a dish that you're making. So you use that to your advantage there, and then use the other end of the pit that's sitting directly over the tuning plates, but away from that coal bed and that charcoal basket as your lowest temp zone. So it kind of works like a clock, so to speak, except my direction's all screwed up because I'm on the camera. Anyway, suffice it to say, on the camera facing side, it's gonna go hotter and then still hot, and then it's gonna go down a little bit in the temperature zone, and then you get down to that lower rack on the exhaust side, and that's where it's gonna be the coolest on this pit. So we're gonna start off our sausage and our chicken on that lower rack because we wanna get some smoke on this sausage. That's really important. So one more important thing to note is that on this pit, you literally could just remove the thermometers for this cook and just put plugs in where the thermometers are. Like, don't even look at a needle. We don't even care. We're gonna use observation powers to tell what our cooker is doing. This takes like a lot of anxiety out of your cook when you're using the Smokeslinger. We're using these zones as the thermostat, like on an oven. You've got a thermostat that tells the burner to come on and off, and that makes the oven come up to temp or drop in temp, whatever you're doing. In this case, all we got to do is move things around and take advantage of those zones on the pit. So now we're going to go ahead and get this pit lit up and get to cooking. Okay, so what this phase is all about is getting the pit up to temp. So what we're doing is we've just got our coal bed on the bottom left of the Smokeslinger, and we're letting that coal bed get really established. And if you noticed, I took a couple of splits while we're waiting on this thing to heat up, and I put them directly over that on the top rack. Totally okay to put wood right on that rack before you cook. We're going to go ahead and get those splits preheated. And what that's going to do is it's going to help them ignite faster, and it's going to give us a cleaner smoke as they're lighting. Now, over on the other side, if you noticed, I took and rotated both, well, on both sides really, I took and rotated my thermometer dials. Now, what's important to know about that is I'm an observation guy, and I like to be able to see, like from the beer fridge or way over here when I'm doing a welding project, I like to just take a couple steps and look at this pit while it's running so I can see if the needles are pointing straight up or close to that in that quadrant. I know that those numbers are really close to where I want to be. This is about getting the pit in the zone that we want it to cook in, not about chasing numbers. We don't want to be chasing a thermometer number like crazy. It just wears everybody out. So, and also you wind up spending a lot of money on equipment that you don't really need. Like I said earlier, I could actually probably pull these thermometers out and put pipe plugs in there and just have the same cook. It wouldn't probably matter that much using powers of observation. So anyway, on this cooker right now, we're getting ready to add a split to the fire basket, and that's going to go ahead and get our smoke rolling and things like that. And we're going to go ahead and probably here in a minute put this sausage and chicken on. Okay, so we've got our chicken on now, and the way that this smoke is rolling is it's coming up off the charcoal basket, spinning down from the lid, and because those exhaust ports are on the side of the pit, it encourages that air to spin downward like it's doing. And this is gonna glaze across the top of that chicken and sausage right there. And I wanna say the word pellicle so bad right now, you know, but I don't wanna sound all raised pinky and stuff, but that's basically what's gonna happen on the outside of this sausage, is we're gonna get that smoke penetration and kind of start to work on that hog casing that I used on the sausage when I made it. And then here in a little bit, we're gonna be able to move that thing over. That's gonna make our texture really, really great. And I'm telling you, you can't beat these chicken thighs. So anyway, we're gonna let this thing go. I haven't had to mess with the intakes. I haven't had to mess with the exhausts yet. All we're doing is letting that fire burn the way that it wants to burn. And we're using the tuning plates to kind of shield everything down low on that lower rack. That's that smoke zone in this cook. So anyway, let's go. So at this stage, we're just kind of watching color develop and things like that. And once our sausage color, like the casing color, has developed and our chicken starts to kind of like tighten up a little bit, you'll see the color start changing, the surface will start drying up a little bit. That's when it's time to move things over and finish. Now, if you were gonna go ahead and check temperature on this, which I'm not going to, I guess I brought my Thermapen, I forgot, but I'm not gonna use the Thermapen on this. I'm just gonna totally go by look and feel on this cook. I'm also going to put this into stew, so to speak, like I'm remembering a Three Stooges episode. I'm gonna put this right in the pot with the étouffée, and it's gonna cook more. So I'm not really too worried about the doneness temperature of this stuff. I'm looking more for color, texture, the overall vibe of the product, so to speak, just the soul of it. Okay, so you can kind of see that the color on our sausage is now taking, it actually looks phenomenal right now. You can see some of the chicken along the leading edge of the cooking grate. It actually looks like it's starting to cook a little bit more, but we're totally accomplishing the goal here. We're getting some color change, we're getting some surface drying, and now it's time to go ahead and move all that stuff over. So let's go ahead and get that done. Okay, so now we're only gonna dwell over here for like 5 minutes, and then we're gonna flip and do the other side if we deem it needs it. The important thing to note here is that we're using the same fire we've used all along. We didn't do anything to change the way the pit is operating, and all we did is just move from the lower zone away from the coal bed up to the upper zone on the other side where the coal bed lives. So now we got all that direct heat coming straight up, and this is sausage with real hog casings, so I don't really want it very close to the fire. All I'm trying to do is finish those casings on the sausage to where they're bite through and they got a good snap. Otherwise, if you just low and slow bring sausage up, it turns into kind of leather on the outside. Same thing with chicken. The only deal here is that we're not using chicken skin, so we don't have to worry about crisping the skin. This is going in a pot of étouffée, so I don't have to deal with skin. I don't like skin in my étouffée. So anyway, we're gonna go ahead and let this coast here for another couple minutes, and then we're gonna check on it and flip it and see what it looks like. All right, guys, I don't know about you, but like I am excited. This is the moment we've been waiting for. Let's check on this sausage. Hey, so what you can see here is that the sausage, it actually has like developed a really nice color on the bottom where it's been on the coals. Now this has only been 5 minutes since we moved into direct heat mode. And looking at the chicken, it's starting to pop and get juicy and stuff. Remember the skin, the surface was kind of dry when we moved it up here to the upper rack. And right now it's finishing off that color. It's starting to get that juices starting to render out of it and stuff like that. It's doing exactly what we want to do. I cannot wait to taste it. I tell you what, get ready. Man, I tell you what, look at this, boy. I'm so excited. Look at this sausage. I'm saying the key ingredient here is a short rest. We don't have to do this like a brisket or a tri-tip and get like this really long rest. We just want to kind of let this steam energy come off because honestly, it's too hot for me to take a bite anyway. So we're just going to go ahead and let this sit here and steam off a little bit, and then we're going to go ahead and jump in. We're going to try this sausage. I can't wait. And the chicken here is going to be amazing as well. Now the key thing here is that throughout this cook, we haven't really had to mess around too much with this cooker. It just kind of ran. And honestly, I didn't see much movement on the thermometers pointing them straight up and down, but even if it did, I wouldn't have worried too much. Like the maximum thing I would have done is if I saw that thermometer on the offset side, on the exhaust side, if I saw that thermometer screaming up to like 400, I might have closed down my exhausts about halfway and my intake about halfway, but we didn't really have any issues with that. So as long as you have proper coal bed, proper fire management, respect the zones, you know, regardless what temperature you're cooking at, those zones are all going to be structured the same way. So if you're running a little hotter or a little lower than I was today, don't panic about it, just extend your time. The one thing to remember is hotter the zone or the hotter the cooking temperature you're running at, the shorter the time. Higher temp shrinks time. So that's kind of what we're dealing with here with cooking in these zones like this. So we're going to be right back here in just a second once these things kind of steam off, and I can't wait to get my mitts into it. All right, guys, I got my seeing glasses on. I can see what we're doing here. We gave this just a minute or two to just sit here and let the steam come off of it. It's not steaming anymore. So here, I'm just gonna pick a random sausage link out of here, like the andouille. I'm gonna cut it out of this because like right now it's all stuck together, right? I'm gonna use this one here since I got it. And I've never personally, look at that. That juice popping out of there, my goodness. I've never done the whole, I'm gonna call it the cool Texas snap on a sausage before. I've never done that ever in my life because I've really never thought about doing it. But I'm gonna try it here real quick just to see how these casings turned out. Now, full disclosure, before I do it, I can tell that I should have packed the meat into this casing a little better. I can feel a little bubbly, and I didn't prick. There's a little thing called a sausage pricker. I didn't do any pricking on this. So I don't know going into this like what the requirements are for a proper sausage snap, but let's just see what happens. You're learning along with me here. Oh, holy smoke. That was awesome. Look at the juice running out of that. Goodness gracious. All right, here, I'm gonna go ahead and shove this out of the way because I want to get a good slice on this. Just see what it looked like. Oh yeah, that casing is butter. Right now, it's got a nice snap to it, but my goodness, it's just got a really nice color. Here you go. Oh. Yeah. Guys. Oh, man, that is good. You can't beat homemade andouille or any kind of homemade sausage. The one thing I did on this sausage in particular is I did a coarse grind because traditionally andouille sausage, when you make it, has a coarser grind. And actually, I think the legit way to do it is you cube it up. You don't even grind it. You just cube your pork up and then you season it and stuff it in the casing and then you smoke it like this. But I decided to go coarse ground instead of like big square chunks trying to go through a meat stuffer. But holy smoke. Man, in the étouffée, come on now. Man, that is good. That is what offset mode right there. That's what offset mode on a smoke slinger is all about. I'm telling you. And I can't wait to jump right into this chicken. Let's do it. I'm gonna get this piece right here. He looks really nice and cool. Let's just give him the old slice test here. Now these are thighs, so they're gonna have like these fat chunks in the middle of them. These little fatty things. The thing about chicken thighs, here you go, right like that. It's a dark meat, but the thing about chicken thighs is they have a lot more fat content in them, a lot more juice. And when you put these things in pretty much anything, it's gonna be amazing, especially when you're cooking on a smoke slinger. You know, you can make tacos out of these. Like I'm thinking right now off the top of my head, al pastor, you know, any kind of chicken kind of tacos you wanna make, if you slice these up thin and do them. I'm putting it in étouffée tonight. You can make some chicken chili if you're into that kind of thing. I'm not really into chicken chili. Chicken is amazing. Man, I mean, game on. Let me get a bite of this thing. Tell you what it's all about. I'm going in the middle. Dude, that's gonna be Cajun all the way. Man, oh man, oh man. So we're getting all Cajun up in here. We got that Hooks Cajun rub on here. We got that layer of smoke. Yes, this chicken did take on some smoke sitting on that lower rack, because even though that thermometer might have read 250, that's about where I had the exhaust side was straight up and down 250 when I rotated that dial. And the fire basket size was a little over 300. Even though that thermometer read 250, we're on the lower rack. And so space below that, we're probably 6-8 inches below that thermometer. So we're a lot lower temp on that bottom rack. That time, you know, we had a lower temp zone. We extended time that we could cook, which allowed our chicken, as we put it on raw, to bring on more smoke flavor. Now you're never gonna get like, oh my gosh, that's hickory smoke flavor in chicken, but you can tell. Like this ain't no cooked in the oven or fried on a skillet. This is legit. Pull apart, chicken thighs, boy. Well, hey, that's what offset mode on the smoke slinger is all about. When you're running your smoke slinger, take some time out to just play with these zones. You know, chicken thighs and sausage and brats and stuff like that, pork steaks, pork chops, loin chops, those are all really affordable. And, you know, who cares what the price per pound is? If you got 10 bucks, go buy a whatever and a pack of chicken thighs and clean them up and just mess around with these temperature zones. You're gonna experience a whole new layer of barbecue in your house. It's gonna be amazing and you're gonna love it. I know that my family likes it, and I think I like it way more than them for sure. So anyway, till next time, keep your smoke thin and blue, and I'll see you on the flip side.